Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? Israel announced just about 4 hours ago that they're going to keep a free hand as it relates to Syria as the United States and Russia expand their truce in the area. According to reports out of Reuters, Israel has signaled today that it would keep up its military strikes all across the frontier with Syria to prevent any encroachment by Iranian allied forces, which would be Hezbollah for sure, or Assad and the Syrians, even as the United States and Russia try to build up a ceasefire in the area. U.S. President Donald J. Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin said they affirm that a joint efforts to stabilize Syria as its civil war is waning, including with the expansion of the July 7th truce in the southwestern triangle border of Israel and Jordan. A U.S. State Department official said Russia had agreed to work with the Syrian regime to remove the Iranian-backed forces a defined distance from the Golan Heights frontier with Israel, which captured the plateau, of course, the Golan Heights back in the 1967 Six-Day War in the Middle East. The move, according to one Israeli official briefed on the argument, is meant to keep rival factions inside Syria away from each other, but it would also effectively keep Iranian-linked forces such as Hezbollah and President Assad's Syrian army at various distances from the Israeli border that they hold there in the Golan Heights. Matter of fact, those distances would range from as little as 5 to 7 kilometers and up to 30 kilometers in other parts. So there's a new buffer zone. It's not being called an official buffer zone because Syria will still own the land. But Russia is going to see to it that no Iranian or Hezbollah or Syrian troops get inside this new defined safe zone. I'll just call it that, all right, for a better word. Moscow did not immediately provide any details of this deal, but Israel, and that's part of what Trump was talking to Putin about while they were in, Vietnam. He had to, look, you have to understand, the media, the mainstream fake news media is so childish, so one-sided, so biased. You have to run the country, and that means you have to talk to friend and foe. You keep your friends close, your enemies closer. You have to know how to deal with people. If you can't, then you shouldn't be in leadership. When you're in leadership, you must talk with everyone to maintain the peace for everyone. All right? Anyway, Israel's been lobbying both the big powers to deny Iran and Lebanon's Hezbollah and other Shiite militants any permitted bases in Syria and to keep them away from the Golan Heights as they gain ground while helping Damascus beat back the Sunni-led rebels. In televised remarks opening Israel's weekly cabinet meeting today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not speak about the new U.S.-Russian arrangement for Syria. His regional cooperation minister sounded the circumspect about the deal, telling reporters that it does not meet Israel's unequivocal demand that there will not be developments that bring the forces of Hezbollah or Iran to the Israeli-Syria border in the north. There will be red lines, though. Matter of fact, there's a reflection here of an understanding that Israel has set red lines and will stand firm. That's a better word. So we already have a buffer zone there at the Golan Heights. I've been to the Golan Heights. I've stood right there at the edge, right on top of the Golan Heights, looking across the border into Syria, right into Damascus. Okay? So I know what they're saying. They're going to create red lines, new safe zones, that would keep the enemies of Israel at arm's distance. Matter of fact, that was an allusion to Israeli military strikes in Syria came out against the suspected Hezbollah or Iranian arms depots or in retaliation for attacks from Syrian-held Golan Heights. Israel will go into Syria and they will blow apart anything they think could be a threat to them. So if the Hezbollah is moving arms, trying to move them from Syria into southern Lebanon, Israel will fly in there and blow it away. They'll blow away the Iranians, they'll blow away the Syrians, they'll blow away Hezbollah. They don't care. They'll blow away anybody that gets too close to that border. And that's just the way it's going to be. And that's the information that Trump was making sure Vladimir Putin understood, so that Putin could get the Syrians, the Hezbollah, and the Iranians to stay away from the Israeli border. Folks, we're living in dangerous times. Now, I wrote a book called Jerusalem Jihad. Many of you may know about it. Some of you have a copy of it. If you don't, this is a must-read for the times we're in, because I speak about these very things in here. Matter of fact, from a dream I had in 2013 while in Jerusalem, I went down to the Wailing Wall that morning, prayed, and then did a YouTube video about the dream. And then I went back to the hotel that day and wrote the first 17 chapters of this book. It was so prophetically inspired. It is a novel. It's based on current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. And a lot of your key players are in this book. Very, very, very powerful. I think it's important that you get a copy of it. It's part of the sequel to the Mark of the Beast RFID. That's number 2. So if you get Mark of the Beast RFID, then you should get, if you're reading this, you should get this one first, Mark of the Beast RFID, then get Jerusalem Jihad. That's the sequel to it. And I'm working on the third one of the trilogy that's going to be coming out later in early 2018. We're living in the last days. Give your life to Jesus Christ, folks, because we are running out of time.